as we hover around the freezing mark, which is what happens at this time of year. It's that mix, but you can just, as you saw on Sunday here in certainly in the GTA, some of those spring temperatures, actually see the lawn now melting. And so that's all good stuff, right? Here comes the summer. That means fun, booze, drinks. I'm sorry. That's how I think. I know this is the Bell Lifestyles corner where it's not, we're supposed to be helping you. Well, I think sometimes mixology is good. I think sometimes you need to understand the blender, for instance. The blender is your friend. Don't be afraid of the blender. What some people are afraid of is those damn allergies that come out of you. All of a sudden, it gets warm, which means rain and flowers. And sometimes those flowers can bring things that people don't like. And you start talking about allergies, and that can be just horrible for some people, like really suffer quite badly from it. And so we need to become smarter today. So who do we go to? Joan Sarro. That's who we go to. Buongiorno, Bella. Come stai?
Buongiorno. Bene.
Bene. Molto bene, molto bene. I am in a good mood. Always in a good mood to see you. It's so awesome.
Good to see you as well.
The allergy thing for something like I'm allergic to penicillin, right? So something that's a little more hardcore and it doesn't really come up all that often. So they would give me some amoxicillin, right? That's what I have. But the allergy thing, my dad used to suffer really badly, bad enough where it was the needles. Back then, he had needles for it. And my family, my wife and son sometimes do a little bit, and it's around that time of year. So what is going on in the spring that actually causes this stuff?
So typically, I mean, we're so far away from summer here that I'm a little jealous. Still got snow piled up. But typically what happens at this time of year, first of all, as the snow melts, it can release molds and that kind of thing that can really irritate people and can initiate that allergic response. And then once the flowers come along, you've got the pollens. I think it's usually in the winter, maybe you're getting closer to the winter, that ragweed probably starts to bother a lot of people. So in terms of outside, plants, molds, yeast, that kind of thing. Inside, dust, molds as well. And then, of course, commonly pets.
Well, and that could be tough too, because I know the circumstances where people who thought they wanted a cat or a dog had to kind of give them back because of that.
Yeah, it can be an issue. And of course, as we've talked about before, there's always over-the-counter things you can take to mitigate that acute reaction that can be really, really intense. And it's really good that we have that for that reason. But if you're looking at like herbal medicine and Bell Lifestyle products are allergy relief, that's something you can take sort of like here, like in Calgary, starting now, to help your body prepare for and mitigate those reactions that come up with an allergic reaction. So,
and that's an important point too, Joan, that you want to get it into your system. This isn't pharmaceutical. This isn't, taking something and no. So when we talk about these kinds of things, and we mention it all the time about this is not miracle cures. You're not taking a pill to solve it, but this is arming your body naturally to try to fight this stuff. In fact, I think one of the first ones we did, there was someone, I don't think she's there anymore, but Jennifer, who worked for the company, and she left to run. She was a runner, but it got so bad, especially in the fall, that's when some of the ragweed and that stuff, that she had to stop doing it. And then she started taking, and I believe it is the allergy product, and I think it is Allergy Relief number 24, which is what we've been talking about. It allowed her, as she took it ahead of time, to start running again.
Yes. So if you're having an allergic reaction, Allergy Relief isn't the thing to grab for right away. It's something to help mitigate, and it's something that needs to be taken on a regular basis. I think the dose is twice a day. So it's herbs and then a plant-based quercetin, which helps the body to mitigate the body's release of histamine, which is kind of what initiates that inflammation and that reaction. And those things can also get the immune system off balance as well, which then makes you more vulnerable for colds and flus like might be going around still at this time of year. So, those typical reactions, the runny noses, itchy eyes, that kind of thing, the herbs in the formula help to mitigate those reactions, and it helps your body do that naturally as opposed to an over-the-counter that suppresses all of it. So just because it suppresses doesn't mean it's necessarily being dealt with. So the immune system can still be compromised.
So that's what the pharmaceutical just takes it all and just it's a suppression.
It's not, which is great for if you're having that major reaction and you need it to stop, then
right,
and that's appropriate. However, if you have something like allergy relief, hopefully you won't need to take that.
Now, in that distinction, which I think is interesting, if you're at that point where you have to take a pharmaceutical to just so you can get some sense of relief, that's one thing. But it's I think people think that it's curing something. I think people buy drugs or medication. They're like, oh well, I'm taking this to get rid of. Well, it's not really getting rid of. It is just killing the symptoms that are killing you. Correct?
Yes, it's not helping your body deal with that reaction, and which is maybe a little bit of a confusing statement, but that's what herbs kind of do for the most part, is they help your body deal with certain reactions or certain issues you might be having in a natural way that your body, your body's natural reaction, those reactions that come up are trying to help get rid of the allergen, for example. So the herbs are still kind of helping you do that instead of suppressing it. And this happens a lot with over the counter or some pharmaceuticals. It can kind of make it so your body's going to react worse next time. Whereas something like allergy relief will help your body mitigate those reactions like on a steady basis. Now, if you keep taking it.
What are the herbs? So what are we talking about essentially in number 24, allergy relief?
Nice formula. It's very comprehensive. So it's got the quercetin, which is what a lot of people who have allergies are familiar with quercetin, because it really does help to mitigate that, the more severe reactions that come up, like the runny nose, watery eyes, congestion, that kind of thing. It has lobelia, which is a popular respiratory herb, and that helps to remove mucus from the lungs. So it's important to get that stuff out, right? You don't necessarily want to, I think our reaction is you want to suppress that mucus, but you actually want it to come out. You don't want it to stay in your system.
Right.
So lobelia will help with that. Lemon balm helps to reduce histamine as well, which is what quercetin does. Histamine causes those reactions. Holy basil is really nice. It's in this formula to help with reduced respiratory mucus buildup, but it's also an antiviral herb, so it can be kind of like a double duty thing to take to help with any viruses that might be going around. Perilla seeds. Okay, you're not going to find, our formulas are so great. There's so many herbs in them. You're just not going to find them in other formulas. And that helps to reduce allergic reactions. It's a herb that's used in traditional Chinese medicine. Rosemary, which contains rosmarinic acid, which is an antioxidant, and it helps to modulate the body's inflammatory response. So when you have an allergic reaction, your body gets inflamed, your immune system reacts. All of these herbs and rosemary will help the inflammatory response kind of chill out. And all of these herbs also balance the immune system. So the T1 and T2 cells that initiate in an immune reaction, if you balance those cells out in the reaction, it kind of calms down the reaction. And then there's sage, well known for asthma, allergies, nasal discharge, and peppermint, which soothes congested airways. So a very comprehensive, great formula. And I at this time of year, as spring starts, hopefully soon here, it's a popular one. Like I have people telling me stories about allergy relief, people with some pretty severe allergies, not to be confused with like an anaphylactic reaction from certain foods or,
Right.
or like a bee sting or something. This isn't really appropriate for that. That's more serious. But those environmental allergens that become a bit of a nuisance, and like Jennifer not being able to run, or your dad like, you know, having to take like shots and that kind of thing. It can help to kind of calm down that response. It won't necessarily fully stop it, depending on how major the allergy is, but it'll help your body react to it in a more gentle way and do things like expel the toxins and the mucus from the body instead of suppressing them. So,
well, what I find is interesting is, since working with Bell Lifestyle Products, I was never a label reader. Like I wasn't really looking at stuff that was in stuff. I've never done that. It doesn't matter what you see something, I don't know, Hot Pockets. You know, I'm reading that too. Going, hey, it's a great cheese and pepperoni. You know, a very munja cake thing, by the way, a real cake thing to do to buy a frozen pizza product. And then you start reading, it, you're like, well, I don't think that's food. I don't think there's any food there. Is all this. And so I was looking at, and I think it was Benadryl. And so I'm reading this stuff, and then it was in the same section as like Sleepy's D. And I'm like, well, what? And so I'm looking at Benadryl and antihistamine and blah, blah, blah. And then it has, I think, diphenhydramine or something, or blah, blah, whatever that is. And I'm looking at the extra strength, there's like 50 megs. And then I look at another like Unisom and all these other Sleepy Baby and all this other sleep stuff. And so I go up to the pharmacist's counter. I can't believe I did this. It must be truly annoying when people do this. So I put like 3 sleep products and 3 of these allergy formulas. And as I set them down, the young lady comes up the front. She goes, "Oh, very good. You win." Well, you know what I'm asking. Oh, no, I know what you can ask. And you're right. They're the same product. They're the same product. I said, well, but Benadryl is the same as Sleepy's D? Yes. But isn't one for allergies? Yep. What you're buying this for is the effect that it has. And that's when you realize the actual reading of the label might count a little bit. And when you start talking about all those things that go into Bell Lifestyle Products, these are natural health products. I'm not getting 50 megs of this and 25. It's that is having, you're buying an effect, which sometimes probably isn't good. If you just keep taking this stuff all the time, that cannot be probably a good thing. Do you want to be taking Benadryl every day? But you're like, no, it helps me sleep. I'd be real careful with that. I think wouldn't you have to be careful with that kind of thought?
Yeah, I mean, even a pharmacist or a doctor is going to tell you it's not great you shouldn't be taking something that inhibits a reaction so quickly. That shouldn't be taken on a regular basis. I think we get used to it. We can get used to doing that because, of course, we want relief and we want instant relief. And that's kind of what we're used to. So it can be a little bit of a challenge to get people used to herbal medicine, because you take it and you're like, well, I'm not feeling this to do anything.
Yeah.
So
where are my gigantic Hulk muscles?
So it's like with herbal medicine, there's patience involved.
Yes.
Some things like our calming chronic stress formula, for example, that can work very quickly for some people, like really quickly. But for the most part, it can take some time. And that's why you want to start this, something like allergy relief now. If you already know that you're going to be exposed to allergies, take it now and take it on a regular basis. Now, some people, as they get older, they start to develop allergies.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of happened to me. Or you're exposed to something that that you're not used to. And that happened to me working in herbal medicine, like working with plants directly when I was learning, and having an allergic reaction to some of them and thinking I was actually coming down with a cold.
Oh, God.
And I even had Blaine, who was teaching me, one of my profs, saying, "Joan, you're having an allergic reaction." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm getting a really quick cold." By the end of the hour, I was like,
that is.
So, sometimes these things can can kind of like catch us off guard. But, you know, as we go through life, or we moved to a new area. When I lived in Vancouver for a while, I started having reactions to plants that I didn't think, you know, didn't even think about having allergies. And so, you know, you kind of like live and learn that maybe taking something that helps your body, and something with science behind it as
Yes.
well.
I mean,
Uh,
just so yeah, they've done all the thinking for you, and I know we have to run here. We're sort of out of time, but what Joan is talking about is number 24 allergy relief from Bell Lifestyle
yeah,
Products, and you just heard all that goes into it. And it's the science. It's all the work of all those things that go into it, and you get it in one pill. So it is. If you've got those issues, you want to make sure that you do that. Joan, thanks so much for joining us here. It's always so good to see you. Hope you're
oh,
doing
great to
well.
see you, Mike. You too. Take care, you guys.
That is Joan Sarro joining us here this morning and doing a wonderful job as always. The product, once again, is number 24 allergy relief from Bell Lifestyle Products.